Good morning, GTS retail partners, and welcome to our Wednesday edition of our retailer to publisher webinars. We're so glad you're here, and I want to make sure that we introduce. I'm Scott Bohr, your category manager for specialty gaming products. That includes gaming accessories, role-playing games, and miniatures games. And today we're going to be hearing from one of our most important role-playing game partners from Paizo Publishing. So we're looking forward to that. But first, let me just recap quickly for those who are new to the system how Zoom works so that we can get you in on the chat. If you hover your mouse over your screen, if you're on a PC or Mac, you'll see that a little bar opens up on the bottom that has a chat button. If you click on that chat button, you'll open a window on your right side of your screen that has the chat window. And there are two options for who gets to see your message. Either all panelists, which is myself and Cosmo, or all panelists and attendees, which is everybody on the call. So you can pick the appropriate audience for what your message is, and then we can get that going. But I do want to go ahead and introduce Cosmo Eisele, who is the representative from Paizo Publishing with us this morning to talk about some of their upcoming product launches, some very exciting stuff for the Starfinder and Pathfinder role-playing games. So without further ado, I will hand the virtual microphone over to Cosmo and let him take the show.
All righty. Thank you very much, Scott, and thank you everyone for showing up. It's I'm happy to see a bunch of people here. Morning, Mark. Good to see you. So, you know, we live in some interesting times, and I just wanted to take this opportunity to show you some things that we've got coming out right this month, some things that we've got coming out in the future, and, you know, kind of refresh a few things that came out earlier this year that may have slipped by when there's, you know, other things going on. So without further ado for myself, let's go ahead and get underway. Of course, I probably should share that screen before I start. There we go. Little inspirational inspirational message for everybody. All righty. So welcome to the Paizo 2020 releases. We're going to start this morning by taking a look at our 2020, we call them our Gen Con releases. That's the things that are coming out this month. And right off the top, of course, is the Advanced Player's Guide. The first edition Advanced Player's Guide was almost immediately considered canon by our players. It was one of those things where you'd see questions on Reddit for, you know, what do I need to get into Pathfinder? And people would say core rulebook, Advanced Player's Guide. And once again, I checked Reddit this morning, and the buzz for this book is palpable. There was a big long thread crying for the book to get released now because people are tired of waiting. So there is a big hunger for this book out there already, and I expect this one to be really popular going forward. This has 4 new classes in it for players, along with a ton of new ancestries and heritages. This book will open up a lot of new options that were never appeared in first edition, as well as brings into second edition a lot of player options that were, you know, player favorite options from first edition that have now gotten the second edition treatment. As is the case with all of our hardcovers, this will be releasing in a standard hardcover as well as a special edition hardcover for those players who want to have the pretty book on their shelf. And also this month, we're launching the Agents of Edgewatch Adventure Path. This is going to be an adventure path that will go through the end of the rest of the year, and we are expecting a lot of fun coming out of this one. Next up, we have another hardcover for this month is the Lost Omens Legends. This is a book that delves into the campaign setting of Galarian, the world that our game is set in. This book will actually covers a lot of the legendary NPCs from the lore of Galarian. So you've got the Whispering Tyrant, the Queen Abigail of Cheliax, who is the main bad guy in the Curse of the Crimson Throne. And in addition to being deeply lore-driven books, so lots of stuff for the lore nerds, this book also has a lot of options for GMs to throw at players a lot, as well as a lot of options for players to incorporate into their characters if they want to be a follower of or a antagonist to one of these legendary personalities from Galarian. On the Starfinder side, we're releasing the Core Rulebook Pocket Edition. People have been asking us for the Pocket Edition for this book almost since the day it came out, and here it is, able to, ready and able to be an additional book for players who are already playing Starfinder, or an easy entry point for someone who wants to check out Starfinder at an easier MSRP. And pocket editions have continued to be a very popular option for our players, as well as with all of the pocket editions that were released for first edition books. We did note that the release of pocket editions didn't really negatively affect the sales of the hardcover. In fact, in a lot of ways, it seems to have kind of bolstered it a little bit. So we're really excited to finally have the pocket edition of the Starfinder Core Rulebook available. Also on the Starfinder side, coming out this month is the Starship Operations Manual. As you may or may not know, Starfinder as a game is based on first edition Pathfinder, although it kind of iterates on that to bring it more into a sci-fi, sci-fantasy outlook. But one of the things that really makes Starfinder completely separate from Pathfinder is the ship-to-ship combat system. This is a brand new system that came out in the core rulebook. It's very popular. It's done on a hex map. And ever since we released that book, people have been asking for us to give them more options for ship-to-ship combat. And here it is. We've got new ships, new maneuvers, new options for players, both on the ship and off the ship, and new roles for players to play on the ship, and all kinds of spicy new flavors for the ship-to-ship combat at part of Starfinder. So this one should be real good. Our friends over at Kobold Press, whom we represent in a distribution, are releasing a pocket edition of their super popular Creature Codex. If you're not familiar with this book, it has over 400 new monsters for 5th edition. This book, along with its predecessor, the Tome of Beasts, are like the perfect things for GMs who have players that have basically already memorized the bestiary. But when you pull out like a clockwork dragon and they're like, oh, wait, what is that? You can just watch their faces drop, and that's where Kobold Press shines. So super excited to have this one coming out in pocket edition, and more from Kobold Press later. Let's take a look at some other things that have come out here in 2020. We'll start with some things that are already out. First of all, we've got the Pathfinder spell decks. These came out in June, and so they are currently available. These decks are, you see there's one deck for each school of magic, and these are spell cards. It's got our beautiful Pathfinder art on the backside, as well as everything you need to know to cast a spell on the front side. We've got one deck for each school of magic, so the wizard will buy one deck and the druid will buy another. And one of the things about this deck is that with the creation of Pathfinder 2nd Edition, one of our design prerogatives was to streamline the rule system so that we could make products like this. Spell decks are a product that people have been asking us for since the beginning of first edition Pathfinder, but it's something we never did for first edition because first edition spells were very wordy. They're just all over the place rules wise, and they just did not lend themselves for a quality card product that we could be proud of. But now, since we have our new edition, we had our hands unbound, we could make the game as we wanted it completely. We now have the options of spell decks. These have already been selling real well, and we expect these things to continue into the future. One aspect of this is these decks are very good, not just for use for the table, but they're also really good for individual use. So if you're a GM and you have a monster that has a spell book, you can just quickly pull out those spells and you have them at your hand. If you're a player and you're a wizard and you're preparing your spells for the day, you pull out the cards out of the spell deck that represent your spell book, and then you go through your spell book and pull the cards out for the spells that you memorized that day. Then you cast them, you put them back in your spell book. It just really, really adds a level of immersion to the game that players just really respond to. In addition to redoing our spell stat blocks for second edition, we also redid our creature stat blocks, and to make it so we could do more card-based products. And here is our second release in the battle cards line. This will be the NPC battle cards coming out in August. This joins the bestiary battle cards that came out earlier this year. One of the cool things about this is you have a card, and say your players, as players do, just decide to attack the town guard, and suddenly you have to stat up a brand new monster. Well, if you've got the NPC cards, you just go through and say, oh, here's the captain of the guard. Man, did they choose the wrong person to attack. And now you've got everything you need to know to run that character right there in front of you. And not only that, but on the other side, you've got the beautiful Pathfinder art that you show to the players, and you're like, this is the person that you're talking to. And, they attack and fail, and then maybe next time they come into town, you can just hold up that card and say, oh, she's walking by and she's following you, and the players know, oh God, I know exactly who that is, and I know not to mess with them. And once again, that's a level of immersion that really just brings players further into the game. Joining the NPC battle cards in October will be the Bestiary 2 battle cards. Every monster in the Pathfinder Bestiary 2 gets a card. And once again, when you're preparing your game, rather than having the book there, you still want to have the book there maybe, but you can just have the cards for the battle that prepared. You pull those out, have them at hand, and as soon as the battle starts, you just show the picture and you've got all the stats facing you, and you can run that monster really easily. Also in October, we've got the Pathfinder Society Guide. The first edition Pathfinder Society Guide was a paperback, and it was a book that was looked upon by Pathfinder Society players as essential. It's not required for Pathfinder Society play, but we make it so good that they will not want to not have it, which is kind of our business model. And we expect this book to go just as well. The first edition Pathfinder Society Guide was something that we had a hard time keeping in print. It was one of the few soft covers that went through multiple printings, and we expect this one to be in print for a good long time. But first edition was a great game. And there are plenty of people out there who want to continue playing their first edition. They've got all the first edition materials. They want to finish their game or whatever. And we've got books for that. Most of our first edition hardcovers are still in print in the pocket edition at once again, at the $19.99 price point, a much easier price point to hit. And these books will remain in print for as long as people keep buying them. These are evergreens, so these will always be available. Pathfinder flip mats are one of our most popular and best-selling lines. These maps are make preparing a game super easy. They're laminated so that you can write on them with wet erase, with dry erase. You can write on them with a Sharpie and then go back over it with a wet erase or dry erase, and it comes right up and off. We've got flip mats coming out in July. The flip mat with the slithering with the July adventure. We've got a new flip mat coming out in August, and the flip mat bigger pirate ship. Look forward to that in October. Flip mats are so popular, in fact, that a lot of the first generation of flip mats have sold out, and we've brought them back in the Pathfinder Flip Mat Classics. These are maps that feature prominently in Pathfinder Society play, are really useful for adventure paths, and just ones that are seen as very, very generally favorable and good to have. These flip mats are evergreens, and when they go out of print, we reprint them, so you can always have these in stock. And in September, we've got the Flip Mat Classics Falls and Rapids coming out. Another very popular accessory in the Pathfinder line are Pathfinder flip tiles. These are small 6x6 map tiles that have the same coating as our flip mats. So once again, you can write on wet erase, dry erase, or even a Sharpie. And the way these come out is we have a 42 one box that is the starter set that has 42 full color map tiles, and then we have expansion packs with 16 map tiles in them that follow the theme of the starter set. The starter set boxes are oversized so that you can put any expansion packs that go with it into the same box, and they also have tabbed file dividers in the starter set box to make them easy to use going forward. These are intended to be an essential GM aid. Pathfinder Pawns are once again another one of our very, very popular accessories. For players or GMs who want to get a large number of minis for a reasonable price, the Bestiary box has, I believe, over 300 miniatures for $59.99. We're taking a bit of a different take with the Pawns line for second edition than we did with first edition. As you can see here, we've got shown pictured is the base assortment box. That is a box of bases. It replaces the previous base assortment pack, which was a hanging bag. So the Bestiary Pawn box, which does come with bases, will be the only box set version of the pawns that we're going to be putting out. The rest will be collections where it's just the pages of pawns themselves and with the bases sold separately. The base assortment box is sized to be exactly 1/4 the size of the Bestiary Pawn box and collections, so that the whole intention is we specifically redesigned this product to make it easier for retailers to stock them together, so that the base assortment box will sit comfortably on the same shelf as your Bestiary Pawn boxes and pawn collections. We've got the Bestiary 2 collection coming out in August, and then the player character pawn collection, which is sure to be another very popular pawn collection, that is coming out in December. On the Starfinder side, Starfinder flip mats are continue to be very handy flip mats. One aspect that I'd like to point out with flip mats is that, you know, we've branded our Pathfinder flip mats, we've branded our Starfinder flip mats, but these are high quality 1-inch square maps that are usable for any game system that requires 1-inch squares. For Starfinder, you know, if you have a Shadowrun game, Starfinder flip mats will also work great for that, because they are, or if you're in your Pathfinder game and run into the alien spaceship, the Starfinder flip mats work great for that. Not to mention, of course, for Starfinder itself. Earlier this year, we had the Starfinder Society ships and stadium, and looking forward, we'll have the Desert World this month and Giant Starship in September. We've also recently launched a flip tiles line for Starfinder. Once again, these are 6x6 map tiles that are science fantasy themed. Coming in November for Starfinder, we have the Alien Archive 4. And one thing that I like to point out with Starfinder is that our Starfinder Alien Archives, whenever we have, because one of the design directives of Starfinder is to be that science fiction, science fantasy worlds of just all kinds of bizarre aliens all over the place. Think Star Wars Cantina. The way we bring that about is that all of our alien archives, which are technically bestiaries for Starfinder, whenever there's even possibly a decent option to have the alien have player options, we put those player options in the alien archives, which means that excuse me, these bestiaries, which are normally pretty geared towards GMs, are actually both GM and players books. So, and at $39.99, that's a real good book for players. Also in November, our friends at Kobold Press are releasing Tome of Beasts 2 hardcover. Excuse me. This is going to be yet another 400 new monsters for your 5th edition players. And these monsters will cover monsters from all different areas, and will be things that are both familiar but just slightly different, as well as just absolutely off-the-wall crazy things that players have no idea to deal with. The Tome of Beasts are great books to make GMs cackle with glee. And also, the fact that they come from Kobold Press, this Kobold Press is is run by Wolfgang Bauer, who's been in the industry going all the way back. These, this is third-party content, but this is high-quality, well-respected third-party content. And the Tome of Beasts 1 is something that we have had a monster of a time even keeping in print, because as soon as they come in, they immediately go out. So get your hands on this one as soon as you can. And now for the big boy, coming out in November. That's right, the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Beginner Box. I am so excited for this box. The 1st edition Beginner Box was my personal favorite product that Paizo's ever made. I loved the design of it, and just the whole idea that, this box has everything someone who's never role played before has ever done, that they've never done it. They can open up the box, start reading, and be rolling dice and killing goblins in like 20 minutes. excuse me. And it was one of our, well, it was possibly one of our most successful products that we ever put out. Probably only behind the core rulebook itself. The beginner box is, I am super excited. And this time, in addition to coming out with the beginner box by itself, we also in November have two tie-in products coming out. Troubles in Ontari is a anthology adventure book, has 3 mini adventures in the book that cover 3 different styles of gameplay. So once your players have played through the beginner box and have leveled the character from level 1 to level 4 using the beginner box, and they're like, okay, so what next? Well, what you want is the Pathfinder core rulebook, as well as the Troubles in Ontari adventure. And also, here's a flip map that for locations specific to the adventure itself to make it even easier. Everything you need to move forward. The beginner box comes with flip mat itself. It comes with pawns. It comes with bases. It comes with dice. And here are even more adventures. Also, the beginner box has a couple of adventures in it itself, as well as how to, it's got sample characters as well as instructions on how to build your own characters and how to build your own campaign. Between the beginner box and these adventures, this is how you create role players. This is how you bring new people into the hobby. For the role play, for the kid who doesn't have the gamer uncle or aunt who's going to show them the game. For someone who just wants to have something to get into this, I'm curious about this, I want to try it, the beginner box is where to go. One cool thing about the Troubles in Ontari is if you have someone who's like, well, I got I have the core rule book, but I don't want a beginner box. Troubles in Ontari works with both beginner box rules as well as the Pathfinder core rulebook rules, the full RPG rule set. And the reason why is the beginner box is the same rules as the Pathfinder RPG. It's just not as many of them. It's a little simplified. So this adventure will actually work with either the beginner box or the core rulebook itself. So very exciting things coming up in November. Thank you, everyone, for listening to me ramble on for a while about the amazing things we have coming out. I have been Cosmo. My boss, Pierce Waters, is also here. And any questions?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Cosmo, for that presentation. Lots of information, lots of detail. I've been posting the SKUs through GTS, what we use as our SKUs for these products as you've been going through. So if our retailer partners haven't already checked out the chat, feel free to check out the chat to see all the SKUs for ordering those products through GTS. If you have questions, I'll just recap real quick. If you float your mouse over the screen, the chat window will appear down at the bottom. You can click on that button, and then the chat window will open on the right-hand side, and you can post your questions there. And I see that we have a question from Mark Owen. Tome of East #1 is a reprint coming soon.
Yes. Now, you know what date it's due back, Cos?
What's that?
I should know that, shouldn't I?
I'm going to say soon. I know that he's got one coming in, so we are going to have a reprint coming soon. I
think he told me August.
Yeah.
But don't hold me to it.
Mark also says hi to Pierce.
Hi, Mark. Say hi to Mom.
All right. And then there's a question from Brian Taylor. It says, for us, RPG sales have been slow during COVID. Can you speak to what products have been doing well, considering many players are having to play online instead of in person?
So yeah, I kind of put the flip mats and the pawns towards the end, and that was intentional because those type of in-person, I call them game table accessories, have taken a bit of a hit, but they actually are already starting to bounce back. But items that are accessories that are personal, the spell cards, and other like informational things, those have actually been going pretty well. And the books themselves have been selling really well, as people are playing and are finding themselves playing much more often now, because it's online and they're home anyway.
Yes, I will echo that. The books have been doing well. Everything took a hit, of course, and the accessories took a deeper hit than the books, and that's true across the board. I mean, our dice sales have also taken a hit because those are impulse purchases, usually in-store impulse purchases, and without people being in the store, the only people buying dice right now are the hardcore collectors or the people who just really have a thing for dice. So I'll echo that. A lot, yeah. I'm playing more online than I wasn't playing in any games. It's like the plumber who can't get his plumbing fixed. But I was not able to really get into very many games, and now I've got a couple running as well. So I'm happy about that part of it. There's a dedicated fan base that loves Starfinder and would love miniatures and spell cards. This is from Alex.
Miniatures. Pierce, do you know more about the? I know that Starfinder miniatures are on their way.
Yes, WizKids is doing them, and we're supposed to be seeing sets that originated with, I forgot the name of the company already, is Ninjas. Anyway,
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's sets are being worked on from 2 different manufacturers. My suspicion is that the WizKids ones will show up first, but I don't have a date yet. But it's soon.
Yeah, I do have more information on that. We also carry the WizKids miniatures, so I can get information for you shortly here. Let me look that up while we do that. Julio says, if you want another player, let me know. So if you're looking for a player,
I don't know if you want to play with Cosmo.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So if the clown shows up, you're in trouble.
Yeah, but we do expect that the WizKids will be putting out the miniatures. As for spell cards, we are doing a lot of card products with Starfinder. We have the rules reference deck. We have a Starship operations deck coming out later this year that I didn't put in the presentation. I don't think we have spell cards on the horizon, but we do have a lot of card products coming out for Starfinder coming up. Miss you too, Norman. Miss all you guys. Like, I miss getting to see you folks, and I can't wait till we get back to where we get to see each other again.
Yeah, when the convention season gets back up and running, that'll be really a great time. Let me see if I can find these.
But yeah, so one of the things that I have been hearing quite a bit is that things are definitely picking back up. People are playing more online than they ever used to, and I expect that is going to carry forward into the future as things. I do truly believe things will be normalizing, and as things normalize, the new normal is going to have a lot more role players. It's going to be a lot more online, offline, hybrid games, and it looks really good for RPGs in general. I'm pretty hopeful for that.
And also why the Pathfinder beginner box coming in November is probably going to be extra hot because of that.
Yeah.
Take it home, play at home, learn, and spend more money.
And, you know, being a November release, I expect the $39.99 price point is going to make it a very popular Christmas 2020 present.
Yes.
Okay.
I just
Expected
put
late
in
July.
Yeah, the Starfinder Battles miniatures from WizKids. There are 2 starter sets. One is villains and one is heroes. These are the pre-painted 6 in a pack sets, and those are expected in July. So that's our current date. It may change with how things are right now, but that's what we're expecting. So those are great support products for Starfinder. They also do the Pathfinder miniatures as well, with the battle sets and all that. Unpainted and painted as well. So you have both options there at this point. What I'm curious about how things are going right now with the Pathfinder Society and Starfinder Society groups. How are they managing during the COVID issues with people not being able to do in-store play? Are they turning online for the most part?
Yeah, it's moved. Both of our organized play programs have moved online quite a bit, and retailers who are on our retailer locator will actually get free PDFs of the organized play scenarios as they are released. So that is a way to maintain a connection with your communities while they're playing online.
Okay. And I did put links in the chat here just for those 2 organizations because they are still valuable assets that stores can use even during this time of reduced or no in-store play. So make sure that those are things that you're hooked up with, so that you can make sure that you've got somebody there representing your store and bringing more players in as things change. So, are there any additional questions for Cosmo or myself or Pierce? Anything you guys are interested in knowing? Now's the time. I don't see any additional questions, but I do want to reiterate that Paizo has been an excellent partner for GTS. Their Starfinder and Pathfinder products are very popular in the marketplace. Pathfinder 2 has just kind of picked up where Pathfinder 1 left off and carried on. So we're very excited and pleased about the future of this. That Pathfinder 2, the 2nd edition rather, beginner box is going to be a great seller. It's definitely something you should have in your store. The first one flew off the shelf, like they said. They had trouble publishing, and now with all the additional product available to support that line, I expect that it's going to be an even bigger hit. Alex says, Pathfinder was my first RPG, and thank you for making great products. So I will echo that.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, that's great to hear. All right. Well, I don't see any additional questions, so I think you've answered everybody's questions. There's nothing more to ask. So, and if things do come up, this video will be on YouTube. Pierce and Cosmo did provide their email addresses in the video. And you can always reach out to me. It's sbohr@gtsdistribution.com. If you have any questions, happy to help out. You can also reach out to your sales rep through GTS. They'll be able to help you. But we do want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to be here with us, to hear from Cosmo. Cosmo and Pierce, we want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to be here and share with our retail partners. A lot of great questions and answers, so we appreciate it. And,
thank you for having us.
Yeah, always, anytime.
Thanks to GTS for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's great. I'm really glad that we're doing these more frequently, so happy to do it. Yeah, so just thank you guys so much for being here, for our retailers and also for Paizo. We value your partnership. We look forward to serving you, and we want to return the rest of your day to you. Go and have a great day.
Right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks a lot.